Hello. I'm Hune, and this is another Gran Turismo 7 video. And we're back with the daily races. These specific daily races are insane, or at least they are entertaining, for what it's worth.
Hune HR.
And I say that they're entertaining because excuse me, because for the most part you're tuning your own car, so it's up to the individual player to showcase how good they are. So for this video I decided, honestly, I considered taking like maybe a Supra or GR86, which is obviously Toyota's cars. So the goal here is to use rear wheel drive cars with a front mounted engine. So ultimately that's it in terms of requirements, and then the power has to be between 443 and weight about 1,300 kilograms. So I used the M4. My tuning was not the best, but the objective once again is to start from the back and make my way up. I'm familiar with the track. This is Monza, no chicane. So started from the back. My launches for some reason were always not to say always good, but they were technically always good. I never got a penalty from, maybe I did once, or no, I don't. I didn't get a penalty, but my starts are always good, and I figured that it was probably just as important, to always get a good start, because look how many positions I gained just from the start, and I started at the back, right? And the good thing is that it's a grid start, so it's up to also the player to obviously be on their toes and time it just right. And obviously your reactions throughout the first stretch of the race are just as important. So there was a little love tap, or at least a little love tap too much, so I kind of messed up the race, the other guy's race, but I don't get a penalty for it, so I can only assume that the game recognizes that it's not entirely my fault. So I'm not happy about that, because you'll have someone punching air, and literally in these races people will have you punching air. And I say this because the Corvettes in this game are incredibly annoying. You'll notice for the most part it's always the Corvettes that are in the sand, or taking someone out, or doing something. This was one of my first races, so I totally mistimed the braking points for that specific corner, and I always did it. Always. With this M4 I always did it, and it's not because of the car, it's just because of me. But the rear tends to flick out a little, tends to want to snap at you, and I think that's just either my camber settings weren't doing it for the specific car, because I basically took what I had done with the car that is going to feature towards the end of this video, so stay tuned for that. It's an M3, and I applied it to this car, so clearly didn't work. But I didn't have an issue with that either, because it's not like it was the worst, and it's not like I couldn't manage it. It's not like I by mistake designed a drift car for this race. But the most annoying, the Viper was doing well, but kind of really messed up that corner. But what's funny is that he messes up that corner, and then I go on to, I went up to second, and then I lose it just like that. This whole race was just me gaining spots and completely going backwards thereafter. But the goal was to not finish last, but to finish somewhere above where I started. And I literally messed that corner up, and I did it several times also. Maybe some practice would have done me some good, but obviously I didn't bother. But so now we're in fourth. The Viper is definitely gone. By the way, the Corvettes are quick. I mean, they're not quick but fast. I don't know how to put this, but you know, when you start the race, that acceleration 0 to 100, 0 to 200, most other cars will beat the Corvette, but top end power, the speed, the top end speed, it carries a lot more speed through those straights, and it's not like it would do any worse or bad around the bends. They, depending on who the player is and the driver, they do pretty good, right? Like any other car, it just depends on the settings that you as a player had set up for the car. And me personally, I did well with the BM, not extremely good, but that's a problem that I tried to fix in my second race, but did not work. So this race I just lost spots, but the Corvettes are quick. They are quick, so I skip ahead to the final lap and I mess up again. Luckily I was further ahead that the guys behind didn't necessarily catch up, which, to be honest, yeah, I didn't have a problem with that. I was okay with that. But yeah, I will complain about the Corvettes every single race for this specific daily race, because the guys in the Corvettes, guys or girls, right, they always somehow mess up either each other's races as Corvettes or someone else's race. And like I said, these guys will have you punching it. So the problem that I didn't understand is that, first of all, your driver rating isn't affected and your sportsmanship rating isn't affected. At least enable sportsmanship, because it means that players in these daily races, they're just gonna bump you whenever they feel like it. It is incredibly frustrating. Even at the start, players, should they have jumped the start, right, and they pop up in front of you, it will mess up your race. And if the game decides to be freaking annoying and the stewards just can't be bothered to do their job right in the game, you'll get a penalty for bumping someone who popped up in front of you who jumped the start. I've seen it happen, but recently it hasn't happened that much, so I got lucky there. I mean, my braking was on point, but just as I come out of that chicane, he decided to come back and take me out, because missing me the first time wasn't enough. He had to, by all means, take me out, right? I don't believe his car is at least the start of my races are always quick, right? The 0 to 100, at least that stretch, I'm always quick. My reactions are on point, but there's always players who are going to try to take you out. Maybe that's a mistake because of how really that chicane is, and it's not really, I mean, two cars can fit comfortably there, but some players can't be bothered to check their radar. I mean, radar's there for a reason, but what do I know? But regardless of that, at that point I was pissed off because of what he had done. So now my objective was to first catch that Honda and obviously gain the positions I had lost, because I started well, gained positions, and then all of a sudden I'm back at 10th in last place, which is far from ideal, because that was not the goal. That is not the objective of me starting from behind. It's not for me to stay behind, it's for me to gain positions, given I have some knowledge of the track. So I can only assume the yellow flag is because the Honda took out another player, right? And now he has a penalty for it, or someone else in front took out another player, but he completely cooks that corner, and not particularly sure if he gets a penalty for it, but regardless, we move. So I passed him, clean pass, by the way, clean pass. I just assumed that he was somewhere near me, and I was just about ahead of him, just enough to get the pass. So we skip ahead to the final lap. That Corvette, I passed it, but made a mistake at the second last, I think it's a chicane, or at least the second last corner before the checker point, and checker flag, I mean, and I messed it up. So the Corvette just, there was no catching the Corvette. So now I'm back with this guy again, and he has another penalty. This was for exceeding track limits. So I kind of tried to stay behind him, but obviously, I mean, I'm not really prepared for this track, that I basically let him get away, right? I allowed him to get away, but he serves his penalty. And the most annoying thing is he pops up just in front of me, when he's a ghost all along. But the moment I get behind him, it happened in another race, and you will see what I'm talking about, but I had to then do my best to defend. And funny enough, on the final lap, I got that final corner right. But yeah, it's not like I gained that many positions anyway, because somebody messed my race up, but I'm glad he was behind me. That's one thing I was happy about. So now we're using the M3. This I've tested at the Nürburgring, and it was fantastic. It was for, the races that the game, the developers give you, like the books that you do. So I used this car in one of those races, and it was just flawless. I mean, tends to kind of flick its back out a little bit at times depending on the bend, but if it could handle the Nürburgring, then it should have no issues on this track, right? So I didn't change any of the settings. I just jumped right into this daily race with this BM. So obviously the objective is certain power limitations, certain weight limitations, anything above that weight class, obviously, of 1,300 kilograms. So that being said, I didn't do anything except change those specific settings, right? And I made sure that it was literally within that weight class and obviously that power band. So it has to be that or less. So yeah. So now the chase was on from obviously last place, because I don't bother doing the setting a lap time, so that I'm able to start somewhere in the middle. But notice how it was a Corvette that was sent into the shadow realm, and you'll see in a lot of the shots that it's the Corvettes that are the problem, or at least for this race it was the Corvettes that were the problem. Not saying it was always the Corvettes, but for the most part it was, right? I'm not disregarding how quick or at least how fast they are around this track. So through that bend, absolutely nailed it. It was just this car gave me the confidence that the M4 didn't, right? The M3 just gave me the confidence that the M4 didn't. So my braking points were good. I didn't do much practice, obviously, but for this one, obviously from previous races, I was warmed up to the track, warmed up to the task. So I had the confidence, and the car was just like the booster. So I'm not doing too bad right now in 7th, and I found that funny. Like, I saw him coming on the map, and I'm just like, is he gonna slow down? Is he not? And he flew past me, and then I kind of almost followed him through there, and he went into the shadow realm for like a moment, because he missed the breaking point, and I don't know, for some reason he didn't even get a penalty, but I also nailed that opportunity to get past him. And as you can see, he's trying to get his car under control. I found that funny. At the moment, I laughed, but obviously the goal is to focus, not to lose spots. So I focused up, and yeah, the M3 was flawless. I mean, maybe you make a mistake here and there, but it happens, well, at least with me, when I feel like I'm not really being challenged. I'm just racing alone. Either your time slows down or you kind of let off, and it's not like you're chasing. But if at this point I had the chase mentality, so my goal was to get behind number 5, as because it's only 5 laps, and you'd be surprised how quickly 5 laps just goes by, or even a lap, because of perhaps focus on what you're doing. So the chase is on. Yeah, I did my best. Monza is, to be honest, it's no chicane. Monza no chicane is fun. It is fun. Monza chicane. I expect a lot of dirty driving, which leads me to this: why leave sportsmanship rating out? I would like to think that having sportsmanship rating affected would encourage players to stop driving like pigs, because they enjoy, they thrive on making you want to punch air. They enjoy ruining someone's day. If there were some races where I was just like, yo bro, we get it, like, yo, you can drive dirty, but like there's no need, there's absolutely no need whatsoever to drive that dirty. Just because SR or sportsmanship rating is not affected does not mean that you should be a pig about it, bro. We just want to have fun. We didn't sign up for any of these shenanigans you're up to, bro. Like, come on. come on. Slow down. Like, stop what you're doing. Hey, yo, like, send me a location, I'll play. But I just don't understand why the guys who said that these daily races decided that for these races where players can pick their cars and tune their cars to their liking, as I was saying, it's just funny how they decided that it's okay to allow players to gain nothing from these races, and they're so fun. Literally, they are fun despite having nuisances in the game, but they are fun when you actually meet a couple players that are good sports, you know. I'd like to think we deserve to gain something from playing this game, right? And let alone hopping into the daily races, right? So, kinda sucks. I feel like that's first of all, obviously it's our loss for not doing the other daily races that give you SR or give you improve or at least help with your driver rating, right? But in this case, I would have liked to improve my driver rating, for example, improve my sportsmanship rating, at least improve my sportsmanship rating, because even though I made mistakes here and there and I got penalties, or at least a penalty for it, right? I accept those penalties, and regardless of that, I would like to still improve my sportsmanship rating, you know. If whatever the highest is, I forgot, sorry, but I would like to improve it. I'd like to think many players complain just as much, like, why is this even a thing? At least give us a chance to improve our sportsmanship rating while doing something fun. Because the other daily races are kind of boring, unless it's F1, of course. F1 can be entertaining, especially when you have challenging players in your lobby who aren't driving dirty. Obviously, you're not going to drive dirty if you know it affects your sportsmanship rating, you know. So here, people drive dirty intentionally. I literally, in a couple of races, this guy, you will have to stay tuned for the next video. This guy is so frustrating, but we skipped ahead here. The final lap, and we are still in 6th place, but I tried my hardest, I tried my best to try and catch this guy, even though I made mistakes here and there. But the good thing about the M3 is that it allowed me to be consistent, and consistency goes a long way in these races. But yeah, players are just dirty, and it's beyond me. It's beyond me why anyone wants to be a nuisance on Gran Turismo 7, or at least on Gran Turismo, any racing game for that matter. I get nuisances on GT, I get nuisances on other games where you control people, right, or piss someone off and ruin their day. But here, I mean, at least give us something that will block them from being animals. But nonetheless, I did well for this race with the M3. So the M3 was definitely the better car than the M4. 5 positions gained, up to 6, so it's not like number 1. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I really hope you guys like the video. Subscribe and stay tuned for the next one. That one is a banger.